All right, guys, let's get into this story. This is a really crazy story, and I can't even believe the outcome. All right, you guys, what is up? We are going to get into this case about Zachariah Anderson. This is actually, God, the paperwork on this, the shit that I printed out for this case is pretty thick. This case is crazy. This man is the definition of the worst crazy ex that you could ever imagine. We're going to go do our usual run through of what, not punch the microphone, of what this case is about. Then we're going to watch some clips that I found on here. And then some clips from trial, the verdict, and sentencing. So, Zachariah Anderson was 42 years old, or is 42 years old. Well, no. He was back then. He's like 46 now. Was charged with killing Rosalio Guiterrez Jr., who was 40 at the time, at his apartment in Wood Creek, Wisconsin, back in May of 2020. Now, Rosalio Guiterrez Jr. was dating Zachariah's baby mama. She had Zachariah and his ex. Oh my gosh, I gotta find her name. I know it's a really, Sadie. Her name's Sadie. Sadie Beecham. Have 3 children together. I don't believe they were married. It just says former girlfriend. Shared the 3 kids together. And I believe in 2019, they went their separate ways. So he was accused of brutally murdering his former girlfriend's new lover, beating the 40-year-old Rosalio Guiterrez Jr. to death at his apartment in Wood Creek back in May 2020. Zachariah allegedly stalked Guiterrez relentlessly before the killing and then disposed of his corpse afterwards. The body had never been found. Guiterrez had been dating Mr. Anderson's former girlfriend, Sadie Beecham, with whom the accused killer shares 3 children. Prosecutors allege that Mr. Anderson, Zachariah, was motivated by jealousy, while the defense claims authorities failed to look into any other potential suspects. And his defense attorney, oh my gosh, that was a show in itself. Nobody can tell me that they weren't, these 2 right here on the screen, that they didn't have something going on. Mr. Anderson, Zachariah, was charged with first-degree intentional homicide, hiding a corpse, and stalking, and faces the possibility of life in prison, pending the outcome of the trial in Kenosha County Circuit Court. In April of 2020, alleged stalking visits during his high-profile trial, jurors have heard that Zachariah was jealous of his former partner's new relationship and was spying on the couple. On the 15th of March of 2023, Zachariah's 15-year-old daughter took the stand to testify that her father had asked her to spy on her mother, Sadie Beecham, and record every single time that the mother would get upset. She testified that he would frequently bring up Guiterrez when she saw him. Then, not long before Guiterrez's disappearance, Mr. Anderson also allegedly took his daughter with him to spy on the couple. Here's a hint, guys. Don't do that kind of shit with your kid. I mean, all of this is wrong. But the worst thing that you can do, personally, because I've been through it myself, is like bring your kid along with you to be spying on their other parent. It's just, it stays with you forever. On the night of April 24th, 2020, less than 1 month before the killing, she said that her father had driven them both to her mother's home to watch Sadie and Mr. Guiterrez through the window. Anderson also went through Guiterrez's truck and took photos of the vehicle's license plate and registration, she said. He then rang the doorbell of the home and fled. The teenager also testified that her father told her about his plans to follow his love rival, who he referred to using a racial slur. He said something about showing him who the man was, and I didn't quite understand it, but kind of caught on to things that my dad was referring to or was implying, she said. My dad said to me, he said, I may just watch him or follow him to his house one time just for the fun of it. Those were his exact words to me. So this leads to our last paragraph, and then we're going to jump in this video. As my Alexa tells me the weather. May 17th of 2020, disappearance and alleged murder. Less than 1 month after the alleged stalking visits, Guiterrez was last seen or heard from on May 17th, 2020. When she arrived at his apartment, she discovered the patio door. Wait a minute. Okay. When she arrived at his apartment, she discovered the patio door open and blood on the floor, furniture, and ceiling of the home. An area rug was also missing from the property, she told investigators. I think that was the girlfriend. Let me tell you, my printer really just messed up a bunch of papers this morning. In May of 2020, Zachariah was arrested for stalking. In December 2020, charges were upgraded to homicide and hiding a corpse. And then in February of 2023, trial began. March of 2023, the daughter testified. And now we're going to get into this video. And we will go from there.
An awful lot of facial expression happening, and it is clearly impacting a 14-year-old girl.
You're all being watched. Nothing that would be, in my opinion, an effort to influence the child in any way or make this more difficult will be tolerated, and it will be addressed rapidly. It's a legitimate concern, Mr. Gravely, and it will continue to be scrutinized.
Sadie Beecham and Zachariah Anderson were together for over a decade and had 3 children. In 2019, Sadie decided to end their relationship. Despite Zachariah's difficulty in coming to terms with their breakup, they maintained a peaceful co-parenting relationship for the sake of their children. It didn't take long for Zachariah to start a new relationship. In early 2020, Sadie found a new romantic partner as well, 40-year-old Rosalio Guiterrez Jr. Though it appeared that Zachariah had moved on, he hadn't, and he became jealous of Sadie's new relationship. He began spying on the couple, and it wasn't long before Sadie found out and confronted him, but to no avail. Sadie became increasingly anxious about Zachariah's jealous behavior, but would never have suspected the horror that was about to unfold. On March the 18th, 2020, Sadie stopped by Rosalio's apartment. Upon arrival, she noticed his patio door had been left open. She went inside and found blood spanning from the ceiling down to the floor. With all of the blood in the apartment and no trace of Rosalio's location, police suspected the worst. What could have occurred inside Rosalio's apartment to cause such a gruesome scene? And did Zachariah have anything to do with it? Before we begin, we would like to send our sincere condolences to the loved ones of Rosalio Guiterrez Jr., who fell victim to the abominable acts described in this case.
A mother of a missing Kenosha man has traveled over 1,000 miles to find answers in her son's disappearance case.
Rosalio Guiterrez was last seen 4 months ago today. His mother sat down with our Aaron Maben to discuss her quest for closure.
Today's 4 months, 123 days.
Not a day goes by
He was very loving, a jokester.
where Celia Patterson doesn't think about her son, Rosalio Guiterrez Jr.
I go to bed every night hoping to dream with my son, and he doesn't come to me in my dreams. I pray every day that he's found.
The 40-year-old father of two was last seen May 17th. During the suspicious disappearance investigation, authorities found a large amount of blood inside his apartment.
Do you think he's alive today?
No. My son was assaulted and murdered on the evening of Sunday, May 17, 2020. There's no doubt in my mind that my son was taken from his apartment dead.
Police have not revealed what they believe happened. Court records show Zachariah Anderson faces stalking charges in connection to the disappearance case. Prosecutors say Anderson stalked his ex-girlfriend who was dating Guiterrez. Patterson would not say if she thinks the 40-year-old who denies involvement played a role.
I'm not going to answer that, okay, because it's an open investigation.
Patterson has temporarily left her home in Colorado to spend time in Kenosha.
I'm here to be close to my son, to his investigation, and to my grandchildren.
She hopes someone can soon share information to help crack the case.
There's a few individuals out there who know where my son is. They know what was done with my boy.
Every year, nearly 13.5 million people in the United States are subjected to stalking. This fact implies that 1 out of every 3 women and 1 out of every 6 men had a stalker at some point in their life. In most cases, the stalker is a previous intimate partner of the victim, and intimate stalkers have a greater chance of becoming violent. Rosalio Guiterrez Jr. lived in an apartment complex in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Like Sadie, he had children from a previous relationship, a young boy and a girl. Rosalio was a real estate investor at the Tranquility Property Group. He met Sadie through a dating page. The relationship moved slowly, with Sadie keeping her romantic life separate from her children. They chatted online for a while and eventually began spending some time together in person. The day before Sadie's daughter's 12th birthday party, she invited Rosalio over to help decorate for the party and to have dinner. It was late by the time they finished, so they decided that Rosalio would spend the night. On May 16th, Sadie spent the evening with him and his children having a movie night. She had no way of knowing that this would be the last time she would ever see Rosalio again. 40-year-old Zachariah Anderson lived in Macon, Wisconsin, about an hour's drive from Kenosha. He had a construction job working on residential homes and owned a tree farm in Saukville, Wisconsin, about 25 minutes north of Macon. Sadie ended her long-term relationship with Zachariah in early 2019. In Sadie's words, their relationship had become tumultuous and was a relationship on its way out. When Sadie spoke with Zachariah about ending the relationship, she felt uneasy about letting him inside her home. Instead, she stood outside in her driveway and spoke with him. Together, they worked out a custody agreement they believed was best for the kids. Unhappy with the overall situation, Zachariah would spend the rest of the year in and out of contact with Sadie. It would become commonplace for him to fall off the face of the earth for a couple of weeks and then pop back up again. Even though Zachariah was unhappy about losing his relationship with Sadie, in a short period of time he began seeing someone new, a woman named Christine Remsburg. It seemed as though Zachariah had finally moved on. In February of 2020, Sadie began her relationship with Rosalio, something she shared only with her close friends. Somehow, Zachariah found out. It quickly became apparent, however, that he had not moved on, and he was not ready to let Sadie move on either. He began trying to win back Sadie. It started with constant text messages and phone calls about how they should have given their relationship more time. Zachariah also sent her the occasional bouquet of flowers. But that wasn't enough. Zachariah made it his mission to discover everything he could about his competitor. This included dragging his daughter out late one night to spy on them, the night before her 12th birthday. Zachariah had all 3 children that night. He brought Olivia with him and left the 2 boys at home alone. Once outside Sadie's living room window, Zachariah and Olivia spied on the couple. Olivia watched, angry and confused, as her mother sat close to a man that wasn't her father. Before the night was over, Zachariah gave Olivia a cell phone, instructing her to record her mother anytime she looked upset. It was about 2:30 in the morning by the time Sadie and Rosalio finished decorating and eating dinner, so they headed off to bed. After Sadie and Rosalio had gone to bed, the front doorbell rang. a very unusual time for someone to show up at their home. The couple went to investigate but found no one at the door. Sadie peered out of the blinds of their bedroom window and noticed a black car pass by. Although Sadie couldn't see the driver or make out the distinctive features of the car besides the color, she couldn't help but wonder if that was the person who was just at her door, and possibly it was Zachariah, who happened to own a black car. Sadie expressed her suspicions to Rosalio before going back to bed. In the morning, Rosalio went out to his truck and found the contents of his glove box on the center console. Immediately, they concluded that Zach must have broken into their vehicle. In a rush to make it to Olivia's party at Zachariah's house, Sadie and Rosalio decided to discuss the situation further at a later time. While at the party, Sadie noticed Olivia was giving her the cold shoulder, refusing to show Sadie any signs of affection and spending most of the time at the party avoiding her. Sadie couldn't help but wonder if Olivia somehow knew she had spent the night with another man. As the party was coming to an end and Sadie was preparing to take her children back to her house to have the party they had planned for Olivia, her daughter asked an unexpected question. Olivia asked if her dad and his family could come over to their house for the second party. Hesitantly, Sadie agreed, but under the condition that Zach's family stayed outside on the deck because she did not feel comfortable having him inside their home. To accommodate Olivia's request, Sadie moved the party out onto the deck where they opened presents and ate cake. After the party, Olivia requested to go back to her dad's house. Though confused, Sadie gave her okay. Nearing the end of the party, Zach tried to talk Sadie into letting him stay behind because he wanted to speak to her privately. Highly uncomfortable with the idea of being left alone with Zach, she told him that if he wants to talk, he was going to have to do it while his family was present. Everyone began to leave, and Zach paused at the door. He told Sadie that he had a premonition that she was with another man last night. He was able to describe to Sadie what she was wearing and the song she was listening to. Then he began badgering her to confess that she had been with someone else. Not believing for a moment that Zach had all of this information from a premonition, she flat out told him the only way he could know any of those details would be if he was at her house last night, which he of course denied. They continued to stand in the doorway and argue about it until, exasperated, Zachariah began to walk away. He then paused, and with a look of remembrance, he told Sadie the man that she was with was a Mexican named Rosalio Guiterrez Jr., a name Sadie had never mentioned to him. Still in the doorway, Sadie stood there startled and terrified as Zach continued to reveal details about her new boyfriend, details which he could not have possibly known. Now, there was no doubt in Sadie's mind that Zach was at her house spying on her the night before, and she told him that. It took him a moment, but Zach finally walked back up to Sadie and admitted that he did go by their house, saying that he just needed to know if she was seeing someone else. Olivia had intended to do as Zachariah instructed and spy on her mom. However, her mother soon found the cell phone. Olivia confessed that she was asked to spy on her by her father. On the phone, Sadie found an app that showed Zachariah had purchased 2 GPS trackers with voice-activated recording features. A short time later, Sadie found the cell phone hidden in the car underneath one of the kids' booster seats. On May 17, 2020, Sadie sent messages to Rosalio like she always did. But despite her multiple attempts to contact him, Rosalio remained unresponsive. Sadie and Rosalio were good about contacting each other regularly, so his silence made Sadie a little nervous. She still had no luck contacting Rosalio by phone the following day. As the time ticked by, she became more and more anxious about Rosalio, worrying that something may have happened to him and wondering if Zachariah had done something drastic. On May the 19th, Sadie went to Rosalio's home to ensure that he was safe. That was when she found his patio door open, his apartment covered in blood. Immediately, she called the police. Police found blood spattered on the ceiling, walls, curtains, furniture, floor, and numerous household items. With the amount of blood found throughout the home, police did not believe that Rosalio made it out alive.
I remember being very afraid. Opened the screen and I pushed the blinds aside, and I immediately saw red blood. I had concerns that possibly Zach had done something.
Furniture had also been moved around, indicating signs of a struggle. Sadie informed the investigators that an area rug was missing as well. Following the trail of blood, investigators were able to piece together that the struggle began at the front door. Since there were no signs of forced entry, Rosalio must have opened the door, and the perpetrator attacked him soon after. It was obvious that Rosalio had been struck numerous times, but no murder weapon was found. Rosalio's vehicle was still sitting in the parking lot of the apartment building, untouched. Continuing their investigation at the apartment, police found Rosalio's cell phone, wallet, and ID. It had been stuffed in the back of his freezer. Sadie told the investigators she discovered that her ex-boyfriend, Zachariah, had been stalking her ever since he found out about her relationship with Rosalio. Police now had
Find the defendant, Zachariah Anderson, guilty of intentional homicide of the first degree as charged. As to the fourth count of the information, we, the jury, find the defendant, Zachariah Anderson, guilty of hiding a corpse as charged.
I truly believe that he thought that he would get away with this as long as they didn't find the body, because there's a lot of speculation, or just a lot of cases in general, that without a weapon, without a body, there's no case. But there was a ton of evidence pointing to this guy, and he's crazy as fuck. Did you see how she turned and looked at him like, you know, she got something for him?
Oh, I put it in the wrong stack. Yeah, you may be seated. Members of the jury, are these your unanimous?
By the way, I always talk about if I like a judge, if I don't like a judge. This judge was so hard to listen to. He just wasn't my cup of tea.
How much time do I got?
Well, I'm going to talk about.
That's insane. That's crazy. I forgot about this. Hang on, let me check the date on this. 1 year ago exactly. How much time? And the judge is just like, oh my gosh. And that reminds me, Mark Severs. Guys, I'm going to cover him too. He was in Lee County Jail with Wade Wilson, and Wade Wilson talked about him all the time. He would call him like that doctor guy, or the doctor's husband or some shit.
About that a little bit. Oh, you mean how much? Oh, I misunderstood. I've had people give us
Yeah, we're not
different version
not
of
that version. Yeah.
How much time do you have to talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a reasonable period. I mean, this is one of the major events of your life, so you're certainly welcome to speak. I'm not going to say it's unlimited, but you're welcome to tell me what you think. Speak from your heart.
I don't want to go into all the details of the case. I got a lot of dispute about what was said, what was portrayed. I think the facts, with a little more scrutiny, tell a much different story than what the jury decided. And I don't think that things played out fairly. I think that there's some things that are not just from our side, questions outstanding for both sides. And I don't think the court accomplished what it set out to do in any means if both sides are left with so many questions. And I don't think, without going into the case, I don't think we really got to the heart of the matter. What I can tell you is I didn't kill anybody. What I can tell you is I didn't stalk anybody. And what I can tell you is I didn't dispose of any corpse. It's really weird to be sentenced for or convicted for it and soon to be sentenced for it, but I didn't, Judge. It kind of feels like there's no turning around on that now. I don't really know how to make a better statement of my opposition. But I disagree. I'm innocent. I don't know what you're going to decide. I don't know what you're all going to weigh. I don't even know how to represent my own character without having my family be able to testify on my behalf. But they do have some things that are relevant. I mean, even during the trial, there was a gentleman who tried to come up and talk to me. I think there was a comment about how now everything has happened during the trial when he made that attempt. Nobody really knew who he was, and I do know who he is. He's a man who I saved from assault in jail. He's actually related to one of the jailers, and my heart went out to him because I know he appeared inebriated, and I know he struggles. And I know he was coming up here to talk to me because we got along so good. But those tiny little moments throughout somebody's life, nobody accounts for those. But what they do a really good job of is making up all of these
She wants him to stop talking.
things that they
She
want you
is
to
like,
believe.
shut your
And they
mouth.
can label you as a monster. I still didn't.
I have a
Still
feeling he's
weird.
really stinky.
I want to be remorseful, and I am for the things that I did wrong. You're welcome to sentence me for everything that I did wrong, just like the judge in South Dakota. The only thing that I disputed in that instance was whether or not I was coming back to Wisconsin with that, which the prosecution has now repeatedly made false statements about on their own assumptions, hoping that everybody in this courtroom, everybody that's watching this.
Do you guys ever wonder what the cops that are sitting around in every, like, do you ever think that, like, if any of them are actually into the case or they're just, like, wondering what they're going to have for dinner or something? I always wonder that.
Would buy. Oh yeah, he was bringing something back to Wisconsin. Not true. Was I caught with marijuana in my car? Yeah. Yeah, I was. Should I have? No. I'd bend the rules there, broke them. Broke the rules. And when they said, hey, this is a problem, I said, well, I did knowingly, and I'll be held accountable for it. That's it. And if I killed somebody, whatever that situation was, I can tell you in my own heart it wouldn't be intentional. But if I didn't at all, a guy I never met, I don't really know what this is, but I didn't do it. I'm innocent, Judge. Not guilty. I'm innocent. So.
It is the sentence of the court that your custody be committed to the Department of Corrections for a period of 2 years, followed by a 2-year period of extended supervision. On the second count, for an identical sentence to be served consecutively. On the fourth count of the information, hiding a corpse.
That's got to be life.
For a period of 6 years of initial confinement, followed by 5 years of extended supervision, to be served consecutively to counts 1 and 2. And on the third count of the information,
Got 15 years there.
it is the sentence of the court that your custody be committed to the Department of Corrections for confinement in the Wisconsin state prisons for the remainder of your life.
Okay, good. There we
The
go.
sentence is consecutive to and not concurrent with the sentences on the other 3 counts. The period of eligibility for extended supervision will not occur until 40 years following the date upon which you start the sentence on count 3. You have rights to appeal with respect to the disposition of this case, and your attorney will review them with you. If you understand your rights, tell Ms. Muller. She'll have you sign a document acknowledging that. If you don't understand, tell her. She'll bring you back in here for further instruction. There's a copy for you as well. Persons convicted of felony, as you have been, are in supposition that there will be no extended supervision until he's 95 or thereabouts.
95.
And they can best be addressed. Well,
They're going to ask.
You know what? I think you're right. Although I did do one and it didn't, and it hasn't come back yet. You'll abide by all rules and regulations established for you by your supervising agent, pay the costs and disbursements.
At 95?
We pay to the, well, that one, no.
Oh my God, I can't do it
matter of
anymore.
Restitution
I can't.
is to be.
Does he say
referred
something?
and return to the court with recommendation within 6.
All right. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna fall asleep. I think I read in the beginning that he was getting life anyways, but I've never really broke it all down. Yeah, he's not getting out. And the crazy part is that he is still denying it. That's all for this one. I will see you guys next week. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, and I'll be back before the new year, hopefully. That's all for this one. Bye. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share with some friends.